watching the monotone sessions, and I think around about now, I think everyone knows that the OA season 3 is not going to happen, unfortunately. I know, it sucks. I did a video a while back about it, and it's clearly not going to happen. However, in anticipation for Brit Marlings' new show that's coming out, I think this year, Google it, I can't remember what it's called, but in anticipation of that, I have watched some of the other stuff she's done, and you may or may not be aware of it. There's a movie called Another Earth, starring Brit Marling and also co-written by her. So this is a film that came out in 2011 with a very modest budget of $100,000 US, which is pretty minuscule for a feature film. And I just want to talk about it today because I know a lot of you are probably wanting a sort of maybe like a movie or a TV show that kind of feels a little bit like the OA, because it was a very unique show and not a lot of stuff has the same heart and interesting ideas as the OA. So, Another Earth is about a college student called Rhoda who is going to be like, she's got the world ahead of her. She's doing really good at MIT, and then she is in her car driving after a party and drives straight into another car with a family and ends up killing the rest of the family that's in the car apart from the man that's driving. So his wife and his kid dead. She ends up going to jail and comes out, I think it's two or 3 years later, and the film goes from there. Okay, so this is all pretty interesting. How is this kind of like the OA? Well, turns out that Earth, you see it in the film, but Earth has now found a planet in its orbit that looks exactly like the Earth, another Earth. Throughout the film we see the Earth that looks like the moon in the sky. You can hear radio broadcasts about this other Earth, and the main character Rhoda is very interested in this other Earth, what that could mean. Is it like, are there humans on it? And for her, this is a chance of renewal. Perhaps on this other Earth, she didn't kill her family and go to jail. Okay, so she gets out of jail. There's mild spoilers in this, I just want to kind of set it up. So actually, you know what, this is full spoiler, but you should check it out. I'll tell you when the spoilers are coming. So she gets out of prison and she feels so guilty for what she's done. She ends up just doing a janitor's job at a school. Okay, she feels so guilty. Her life's basically wrecked now. She's an ex-con. It's not looking good for her. She feels horrible. Okay, she then finds out that the guy that she hit, he's alive, and she wants to make it up to him. So she starts a cleaning company, which is not a cleaning company, it's just a way to get close to him to apologize. Okay, so she ends up giving him a free trial and cleaning his house. We find out his life's pretty fucked. He's on his own, the house is a tip. His life's wrecked just like hers, and he's having trouble sort of going on. He's the opposite of the man we saw at the start of the film. Throughout the film, they become closer, and there's a point, okay, spoilers. They end up kind of falling for each other a little bit. They do some stuff, and she ends up, they get quite intertwined, and she's really struggling. She wants to tell him, what she did, but she knows that it'll wreck everything. Okay, so anyway, she's at home and her life's shit, and she writes an essay to the company who are sending people to this other Earth, and anyway, long story short, she gets accepted. This is her chance to start another life, perhaps. Sorry, she ends up telling this guy what she did. He doesn't want a bar of her. He's just so mad he nearly kills her. And so as a forgiveness, perhaps an act of redemption, she gives him the ticket to go to this other Earth. At the end of the film, he does end up on this other Earth, and just before the credits roll, we see Brit Marlings' character Rhoda, her doppelganger, turns up at her house. Then the film ends. So that is the plot of the film. Okay, why do I recommend this film? Well, firstly, the fact that this film has such a low budget, despite that, you definitely feel Brit Marlings' influence on the script. It's very heartfelt, despite perhaps the kind of you might find it hard to believe she could be this sort of character, but she pulls it off really well. There's a lot of heartfelt moments, especially when she tells the story about the Russian cosmonaut who hears a noise on the outside of his ship and he's going to go crazy. It's a really beautiful scene, kind of explaining how just because you're in a bad situation, you can make it good. I know that's kind of a bit of a cliche, but the scene's really beautiful, really powerful.
So he closes his eyes. And he goes into his imagination. And when he opens them, he doesn't hear ticking anymore. He hears music. And he spends the remainder of his time sailing through space in total bliss and peace.
The sort of interactions between them it does feel genuine. There's definitely a lot of like OA-ish moments in it, like the whole the OA character is quite this sort of downtrodden person with like this wrecked sort of home life, and I feel like this is similar, so it does kind of scratch that itch if you're into that kind of thing. I know that sounds weird, but if you like the OA, you know what I mean. What else? I think the concept is a fantastic one, even though the film has a low budget. Just the idea that there is another Earth with the same people on it that are on Earth here is just such an interesting idea, and this thought that perhaps maybe if you went there you could start again, or see how things ended up if you'd made different decisions. I think that's quite a thought-provoking and deep idea that although isn't really gone into too much in this movie, I think that idea of that is still a powerful one, and it's definitely a very distinct driving force in the film. Also, despite its low budget, I think the film is shot beautifully, especially the daytime shots where Brit Marlings' character is walking in daytime, and you see the Earth in the background. It looks like the moon. I think it looks quite realistic. They don't really go into like any of the ramifications of what would happen if a large Earth-like planet was in orbit of the Earth. I think that would cause a lot of chaos, but that wasn't really the point of that idea. Another thing I think is quite interesting is the idea that she wanted to go across and she got the chance. Even though she gave it to the other character, the fact that her doppelganger ends up on Earth brings up a lot of questions, and that in itself feels a lot like the OA. At the end of like this cliffhanger in season 2, and even in season 1, you're left with a lot of questions, and I think this has the same kind of energy as that. Why is her doppelganger on Earth? Did her life go bad there? Was she always fated to make this poor decision, or some other decision that led to her wanting to come over? We don't really know, and I think that's quite interesting. Are we fated to do the same thing? Is the man whose family died, is his family dead on the other planet? Are they alive? What if he's alive on the other planet? What would happen with that? It brings a lot of questions and no answers, but I don't think the film was trying to do that. It was about her redemption from doing something unforgivable. I don't know if she really did get that much. She did get redemption to an extent. She helped out him, theoretically. She helped him but really fascinating. In a sort of a similar regards, this film does feel a little bit like, almost like The Leftovers. I've done a video essay on that. You might want to check that out. I still need to do the other parts to this video. I know if any of you are subscribed since then, I am going to get around to it. It's just there's a lot to kind of take in and kind of analyze with The Leftovers. It's not going to be an easy video to kind of to think up all the things I want to. But anyway, but yeah, like The Leftovers had a similar concept where you had whatever it was, 2% of the population disappears. What happens then? Yeah, just these. I think that's where science fiction shines, is when you've got these. They don't need to have big budgets. They don't necessarily need to go into it deeply, but you can explore these kind of sort of concepts on a human level, and it's just as good. So anyway, comment below and tell me if you actually did watch Another Earth. I know Brit Marlings done some other movies that I want to talk about. There's one in particular that is very similar to the OA. It's a similar concept. She plays a cult leader, which is kind of similar to the OA herself. And I would like to touch upon this film in another video. I started watching it, but I didn't get around to finishing it. Anyway, comment below. Tell me what you think. Did you watch Another Earth? Did you like it? Yeah, and also, are you looking forward to Brit Marlings' new show that's coming out? If you've got any information on it, comment below. That'd be fantastic if you could. And thank you for watching the monotone sessions. Sorry about my nasal voice. I've got a bit of a cold going on. It's not COVID, it's a cold. So apologies for that. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.